Hello, future chemists. Welcome to a fascinating journey into the world of alkanes, the simplest yet foundational organic compounds. Today, we are diving deep into their properties, understanding what makes them behave the way they do, both physically and chemically. We'll start with the basics, then gradually build up to the advanced concepts crucial for your advanced preparation. Get ready to unlock the secrets of these versatile molecules. Let's kick things off with the easy level, where we'll establish the fundamental characteristics and behaviors of alkanes. Alkanes are the backbone of organic chemistry, defined as saturated hydrocarbons, meaning every carbon atom is bonded to the maximum number of hydrogen atoms possible, featuring only single C-to-C bonds. Their general formula, CnH2n+2, neatly describes this saturation. Think of methane, ethane, or propane as prime examples. Interestingly, they're often called paraffins, a term hinting at their little affinity or low reactivity, which we'll explore further. Each carbon in an alkane adopts a tetrahedral geometry, forming the simplest yet robust organic structures. When we look at their physical traits, alkanes show a clear pattern. The smallest ones, like methane to butane, are gases at room temperature. As they get larger, from pentane to heptadecane, they become liquids, and anything with 18 carbons or more exists as a solid. Being nonpolar, they naturally don't mix with water but happily dissolve in other nonpolar organic solvents. They're also lighter than water, always floating on top. Crucially, their boiling and melting points rise with increasing molecular mass thanks to stronger van der Waals forces. Chemically, their strong C-to-C and CH sigma bonds make them quite unreactive, with combustion being their most common reaction. Now, let's test your understanding with a few quick practice questions. Take a moment to think about these. Question 1. Which of the following alkanes is likely to be a gas at room temperature? C2H6, C10H22, or C20H42? Question 2. Explain why alkanes do not dissolve in water. And question 3. How does the boiling point of N-pentane compare to that of N-hexane? Justify your answer. Ready to deepen your understanding? Our medium level explores the nuances of alkane properties, offering more detailed explanations. Let's dive deeper into boiling and melting points. Boiling points are primarily dictated by an alkane's molecular weight and its surface area. More electrons mean stronger London dispersion forces, leading to higher boiling points. But branching throws a curveball. Branched alkanes, with their more compact, spherical shapes, have reduced surface areas. This means weaker intermolecular forces and, consequently, lower boiling points compared to their straight-chain isomers. For example, N-pentane has a higher boiling point than isopentane, which in turn is higher than neopentane. Melting points, while also increasing with molecular weight, are additionally influenced by how well molecules pack into a crystal lattice. Expanding on solubility and density, remember the like dissolves like rule. Alkanes are hydrophobic, meaning they fear water because they can't form hydrogen bonds with it, making them immiscible. They are consistently less dense than water, always floating on top, though their density does increase slightly with molecular weight. Interestingly, melting points also reveal a pattern related to symmetry. Alkanes with an even number of carbon atoms often exhibit higher melting points than their odd-numbered counterparts. This is because the symmetrical nature of even-numbered chains allows for more efficient packing in the solid crystal lattice, requiring more energy to disrupt, as seen when comparing N-butane, N-pentane, and N-hexane. Now, let's talk about the most crucial chemical property, combustion. This is the rapid reaction of alkanes with oxygen. When oxygen is plentiful, we get complete combustion, yielding carbon dioxide, water, and a significant amount of heat. This is how alkanes fuel our world. The general equation is CnH2n+2 plus oxygen, giving NCO2 and N+1H2O. However, with limited oxygen, incomplete combustion occurs, producing toxic carbon monoxide or even soot. This exothermic nature makes alkanes indispensable as fuels for everything from heating our homes to powering vehicles and generating electricity. Time to apply your knowledge with 5 new practice questions. Question 1. Arrange the following in increasing order of boiling point: N-hexane, 2,2-dimethylbutane, 2-methylpentane. Justify your order. Question 2. Why does N-octane have a higher melting point than N-heptane, even though both are straight-chain alkanes? Question 3. A liquid alkane is observed to form a separate layer on top when mixed with water. What does this indicate about its polarity and density? Question 4. Write the balanced chemical equation for the incomplete combustion of methane producing carbon monoxide. And question 5. Explain why alkanes are considered paraffins in the context of their chemical reactivity. Alright, it's time to elevate your understanding. The hard level delves into complex reactions and industrial applications of alkanes. One of the most important chemical reactions for alkanes is free radical halogenation. This reaction, involving halogens like chlorine or bromine, requires UV light or high temperatures to proceed. It follows a 3-step free radical chain mechanism: initiation, where the halogen molecule splits; propagation, where the radical abstracts a hydrogen from the alkane, forming an alkyl radical, which then reacts with more halogen; and finally, termination, where radicals combine. A key aspect is selectivity. Tertiary hydrogen atoms are more reactive than secondary, which are more reactive than primary, due to the stability of the intermediate alkyl radicals. Chlorination is generally less selective and faster than bromination, which is slower but more selective. Industrial processes significantly leverage alkane properties. Cracking, or pyrolysis, breaks down large, less valuable alkanes from heavy crude oil into smaller, more useful alkanes for gasoline and alkenes for plastics, often under high temperatures or with catalysts. Isomerization converts straight-chain alkanes into their branched isomers using catalysts like anhydrous aluminum chloride. This is crucial for increasing the octane number of gasoline, improving engine performance. Aromatization, or reforming, transforms C6C10 alkanes into valuable aromatic compounds like benzene, using platinum or chromium oxide catalysts under high temperature and pressure, effectively creating new chemical building blocks. The Wurtz reaction offers a method for synthesizing higher alkanes by coupling to alkyl halides using sodium metal in dry ether. For example, 2 molecules of ethyl bromide can form N-butane. However, a major limitation is its inefficiency for synthesizing unsymmetrical alkanes, as it produces a mixture of 3 possible products, making purification challenging. Reverting to halogenation, the regioselectivity, or preference for reaction at specific positions, is directly linked to the relative stabilities of the free radical intermediates. A more stable radical, like a tertiary one, forms through a transition state with lower activation energy, making that pathway kinetically favored. Let's tackle some challenging questions. Question 1. Which of the following alkanes would yield the most stable free radical upon hydrogen abstraction: methane, ethane, or isobutane? Explain. Question 2. Write the full mechanism for the free radical monochlorination of ethane. Question 3. A refinery is trying to improve the octane rating of its gasoline. Which industrial process would be most effective for this purpose, and why? Question 4. Predict the major product when 2-methylpropane undergoes monobromination. Justify your answer. Question 5. Describe the conditions required for the aromatization of N-heptane and write the balanced chemical equation. Question 6. Explain why the Wurtz reaction is generally not used for the synthesis of propane. And question 7. Compare the energy profiles for chlorination and bromination of an alkane, specifically focusing on the H abstraction step, and relate it to their selectivity. Welcome to the hardest level, where we'll explore the competitive depth of alkane properties, delving into advanced theories and engineering insights essential for G advanced. Let's dissect the thermodynamics and kinetics of halogenation. The overall feasibility is governed by the enthalpy change, while the rate is controlled by the activation energy of the H abstraction step. Bond dissociation energies reveal that tertiary CH bonds are weaker than secondary and primary, influencing reactivity. Chlorination, being highly exothermic, has a low activation energy and an early transition state, resembling reactants, leading to less selectivity. Bromination, however, is less exothermic with a higher activation energy and a late transition state, resembling products, resulting in greater selectivity. The Hammond postulate beautifully explains this relationship. Transition states for exothermic steps resemble reactants, while for endothermic steps, they resemble products. Catalytic reforming is an industrial marvel that transforms low-octane linear alkanes into high-octane branched alkanes and aromatics. This magic happens with bifunctional catalysts, typically containing a metallic component like platinum for dehydrogenation and an acidic component, often alumina, for isomerization. The process involves a complex interplay of dehydrogenation, cyclization, isomerization, and dehydrocyclization. The goal? To boost the octane rating, a crucial measure of a fuel's resistance to engine knocking or autoignition. Branched alkanes and aromatics inherently possess higher octane numbers. Historically, lead compounds were used as anti-knock agents, but today, alternatives like MTBE and ethanol are preferred. Beyond reforming, advanced cracking technologies are vital. Fluidized catalytic cracking, or FCC, employs zeolite catalysts in fluidized beds to convert heavy gas oils into high yields of gasoline and lighter olefins, critical for petrochemicals. Hydrocracking, on the other hand, cracks alkanes in the presence of hydrogen and a catalyst, producing saturated products, minimizing coke formation, and yielding high-quality diesel and jet fuel. Then there's steam cracking, a non-catalytic thermal process that uses very high temperatures and steam to break down light alkanes into fundamental feedstocks like ethylene, propylene, and butadiene, which are indispensable for polymer production. These processes are central to optimizing crude oil utilization, transforming less valuable heavy fractions into high-demand products for both energy and the chemical industry. While alkanes are generally unreactive, under harsh conditions, they can undergo unconventional reactions. Vapor phase nitration with nitric acid at high temperatures yields nitrocanes via a free radical mechanism, though it's not highly selective. Sulfonation, reacting with fuming sulfuric acid or SO3, is typically limited to higher alkanes under specific conditions, producing alkane sulfonic acids. However, the widespread use of alkanes as fuels carries significant environmental baggage. Their combustion releases CO2, a major greenhouse gas, and incomplete combustion produces toxic CO and smog-forming pollutants. Solutions include carbon capture and storage technologies and the development of biofuels. Accidental oil spills, primarily composed of alkanes, also inflict severe environmental damage on marine ecosystems, highlighting the complex balance between industrial utility and ecological responsibility. Let's push your analytical skills with these first 5 hardest questions. Question 1. Given the CH bond dissociation energies for primary, secondary, and tertiary CH bonds, explain how these values influence the regoselectivity observed in free radical halogenation. Question 2. Elaborate on the specific roles of the metallic and acidic components in a bifunctional catalytic reforming catalyst, providing an example for each function. Question 3. Compare and contrast the primary goals and product distributions of fluidized catalytic cracking and steam cracking processes. Question 4. Design a hypothetical experiment to determine the octane number of an unknown fuel sample relative to isooctane and N-heptane. What key engine parameter would you monitor? And question 5. Describe the industrial challenges associated with the vapor phase nitration of methane and how these are typically addressed. Here are the final 5 challenging questions to solidify your expertise. Question 6. Discuss the environmental implications of incomplete combustion of alkene fuels in urban areas, specifically referencing the formation of 2 major air pollutants. Question 7. Propose a detailed synthetic route for 2,3-dimethylbutane starting from 2-chloropropane using the Wurtz reaction, critically evaluating the limitations and potential side products. Question 8. Explain how the late transition state in bromination contributes to its higher selectivity compared to chlorination, which exhibits an early transition state, referencing the Hammond postulate. Question 9. Beyond combustion, identify 2 major non-fuel industrial applications of alkanes and briefly describe their utility. And question 10. Investigate the feasibility of converting methane directly into higher alkanes without significant byproduct formation, discussing the thermodynamic and kinetic hurdles involved in such a process. That concludes our deep dive into the fascinating properties of alkanes. From their basic physical traits to complex industrial reactions and environmental impacts, you've gained a comprehensive understanding crucial for G Advanced. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning. For more such in-depth educational content and to supercharge your preparation, visit synapse.omaps.in and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for regular updates. Your journey to mastering chemistry continues.